Hey YouTube, wanted to try something today that I am probably not comfortable with, but since I can't find anything that totally explains it on YouTube, I believe I'm going to just tackle it myself. Going to try to wire in a dash camera on the auxiliary switches for my Ram 3500 I've got setting here. So I hope that this helps out those that are like me and find that with all the videos that are out on YouTube right now, they didn't answer all of my questions. So stick with me and I'll show you how I did it. Now what we're going to install today is the RedTiger F7NP dash camera, front and rear. I've already wired up the auxiliary switches for the Ram 3500 behind me. If you want to know how to do those, I've got another video. I post a link to that below. But today we're just going to take the dash camera and get it wired into the auxiliary switches so that it is staying in the vehicle at all times. It's got a front and rear camera, and it'll come on whenever we start the vehicle, and it'll turn off whenever we turn the vehicle off, and record automatically in the process. So let's open the box, see what we have. All right, what we've got here, this is a power for the RedTiger camera. This is if you're going to plug it into the cigarette charger, cigarette lighter, or the what typically is where the cigarette lighter would go. We're not going to use that. This is the rear camera, which we will extend all the way to the back side of the vehicle. Suction cup to mount the camera inside on the windshield. Here is the actual camera. Obviously needs to be cleaned before we get that started. So what this is a view from the front, as in inside the cab. You're going to be able to see a full picture, and then the camera is going to point forward down the road. Now I understand they also make a glare cover that can go around this front of the camera, this lens. I may look into that depending on how much glare we get either in sunny days or at night with oncoming headlights. Let you know how that works out. And then this is the hardwire kit. We have 4 connectors, spade connectors. We've got fuses, fuse puller, and then we have the hardwire kit itself. All right, well, first problem I ran into is I figured out that I ordered the wrong hardwire kit. So this is for mini USB, and our camera is, my camera is a USB, not even a USB-C, USB.
Several days later.
Okay, well, we now have delivered the accurate hardwiring kit for the RedTiger hardwire kit. As we discussed, this was the wrong one, mini USB. I needed a USB-C, so that one will be returned, although it was only $15. This one was, I think, $22 off Amazon. So we'll got this here now, so we'll get to installing our camera. Here is the fuse box, which is right next to the battery under the hood. The one challenge they decided to do with the fuse box is the little fuse box lid won't stay open because of this brace they have that manages to hit right here. They do have an explanation of all the fuses underneath the fuse box lid. So we're going to take an opportunity here to check out which one of these fuses we want to get to. Again, like I said, the other option that I had was this pink wire right here, which I ran into one of my auxiliary switches. So I'm either going to hook up my dash camera to this one, which automatically would come on with the ignition and then turn off when I turn the ignition off, or I'm going to have to find a similar setup here in the fuse box. All right, so I pulled my manual out. It was a little easier to read than that little guide inside the lid of the fuse box. Came up with F66, which is currently feeding accessory power to sunroof, USB port, right mirror, etc. So this is going to be one that has accessory, should have accessory power only. And then for battery power, I've found F90, which is power outlet. So it should show me that they have power constantly when the battery is shown, and the other one only when the accessory switch is on. So let's check it out. All right, so like I said, now we're going to be looking for F90 battery. So this one should have power constantly. Take my little meter here. I like these little tabs that's factory's got here. We can just do because they're grounded. So we'll lift this up. We've also got this nice little handy dandy tool that they include in here, puller. So underneath here shows us where F90 is. So looking for F90. 96, 95, 94, 93, 92. There's 90 right there. So this is the second row on this side. So here it is going to be, here's our first row, here's our second row. First row, second row from the big one. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, fourth one. First row, second row, 1, 2, 3, fourth one. So we'll put our handy dandy little puller on right there. Get that fuse out. Get our little tester here. And we should have full-time battery power. There we go. If we get it connected down in there right. So this side over here, full-time battery power. The other side of the fuse is not. All right, so the next one we're going to look for just for accessory power only is F66. So let's turn on the accessory. One click for accessory. It says ignition, accessory on. And then this one is going, as I looked just a minute ago, it's going to be this one right here. So we'll pull that one out. See if we have accessory power with our light. Not on that terminal. Oh, I believe I pulled the wrong one. Oh. We weren't hooked up here. Let's try this again. It's supposed to be the fourth one though. If I'm not mistaken, I pulled the third one down there. So let's look at that again. So 66. Thing's doing a terrible job focusing. There it is. So the big one, 1, 2, 3, 4. The big one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I pulled the wrong one. So we'll go for this one. See the fourth one there. There's our light. Accessories on. Ta-da! Now on that other one, that battery side, but this one's got your accessory power right there. So just to double check it, let's do a quick battery check. We'll turn the power off, completely off. Come back. And check both terminals, nothing. All right, so I think we're good on which ones we want to pick. All right, so one issue I've determined I've run into is on this vehicle, since the fuse box is in under the hood, not under the dash, now I've got to figure out how to and where to penetrate the firewall to get this wire through to plug into the fuse box. See what we can find out. All right, after having looked and looked and looked, the best thing I can determine, this here is my hood latch, and it runs along here, along the side, and goes up under here. And obviously, looking on the inside, it is on the center, and I looked under here, and it's gonna penetrate right up there. So the challenge here is finding it. So it looks like this is gonna have to come out. All right, so just to make sure I don't waste a lot of time running that wire all the way through here, getting everything hooked up to find out things don't work the right way, I went ahead and connected my accessory and battery, put the extra fuses back in there. So we will check all of that stuff. We'll go up front. I just kind of rigged the ground right there. We'll go up front to the cab and find out if we work. So I don't have anything on yet. I just got my camera setting here. So we'll turn on accessory. Lights come on. It's always a positive. Oops, out of focus. All right, and it automatically started recording. So we're doing good there. Go ahead and turn as if I'm getting ready to start it, no change. And then if I turn the ignition off, well, let's make sure that, what did we say these things here? Our sunroof, right mirror, passenger sunroof. Sunroof works. So we got it back in there the right way. So I think we're good there. Turn everything off. Accessory. Everything went off. So I think we're good. Now let's try to route these wires. Now before I get in any further to wiring this hard wire into the dash camera, I wanted to show you something. I do have other options here. I could wire this in, you know, just take it in, plug it in down here into one of these USB ports, USB-C port. And then this was the other option I had up here, was this 12-volt DC port here. And that's not terrible, you know, this is the big view. I'm gonna mount the camera right up here on my windshield. I just don't want wires hanging down from here to here. I don't want to have to route a wire all the way around here, come down, figure out how to go under the dash and over to here, especially if, because right in here is where the phone's set. So I would just prefer to keep these chargers and these ports available for other things. I was originally going to just do the hardwire and auxiliary 3, but that's turned out that that's a little more complicated. I'm not an electrician. I did figure out how to get the wire into auxiliary 3, so if I wanted to, I could just turn that on. But because you have to have a ground, a battery, and all this other stuff, they only provide one wire. And as I said, I'm not an electrician, so I'm not going to try to determine all of the ins and outs of making that work. Easier just to go with the hardwire kit as it is and plug it into the fuse box as it says. So just wanted to let you know that those are the reasons I didn't pick any of the immediate options right here. Just prefer a nicer, cleaner, neater look, and leave these for other things in the future. Now what I am going to have to do though is still figure out how to cleanly route the wires from, I not only have the power supply to the front camera, I've also got the rear camera. So we're gonna have to route those around in front of the headliner. We'll figure out how to get in this A-column, A-pillar here to get down. And once we get behind the dash here, everything becomes a lot easier, because right under there is where the firewall penetration is, and then we can take that, if we can even get the penetration of the rear camera, we'll put it in there, take it down to the frame, and run it all the way to the back of the truck. At least that's the plan, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so what I did now is I went ahead and got everything connected. I ran my wires to a point where I think they're long enough, and I just wanted to plug into my rear camera to make sure that I have everything working. So here, let me show you what I've done. So down here, I've got my wire. I've just got it plugged in, trying to determine where I want to set my rear camera. Do I want to attach it down by my hitch, somewhere along the bumper? But we'll run this. I've run this back here, and I've got it routed up through under here, and not sure you can see that. I'll get a light up there in a minute. You might be able to see a little bit. I drilled a hole there, ran it through a grommet. My two wires. This wire here is for the front camera. That wire there is for the back camera. And I just have the back camera running down under the truck, beside the truck, as you saw. And I've routed them up through the side, under the dash, up through under the A-pillar cover, tucked everything under here, and I've got everything kind of aligned. I don't have these permanent. I'll zip tie these together. They're pretty snug up against the cover there, so I kind of like the way that is for now. And then we'll zip tie these things a little tighter, make it look a little cleaner. But we just want to make sure everything works. So we'll turn the car on. Camera comes on and everything is working. So here you see, this is the rear camera, and then the rest of this is the front camera. Now you can go through different modes here, change these. So there you see the front camera in the small inset, the bottom camera, or the rear camera in the bottom. And I apologize for my beeping here. And then you can change it just for the front or just for the rear. You can change, this is showing you which direction you're going, time, speed. And then if you don't want the screen on. What I wish this did have, instead of this inset blocking 1/4 of the screen, I wish they would do it side by side so you can see both at the same time. See the entire screen at the same time. That's just my preference. I know it doesn't change the way it's recording and the way that each one can be sent to a separate file whenever you download it, but just my preference. So we got everything, looks like we got everything hooked up and working. And what we'll do now is we'll get everything lined up underneath, and then we will zip tie everything underneath the truck, get that back one, try to figure out where we actually want to set it, and then button everything up. Stay tuned for the final result. All right, I'm still trying to figure out where I want to put this thing. So up here is where my first place I had it. It's a little off-centered. I was thinking I could drill out one of those holes there, or I could just run the wire down. It's a little off-center though, so I can't put it in the middle because I don't have space. They have this light bar here already, which sits kind of low, which is weird, but at least you can still see it. Can't put it on the right side. I've got this bar that I got to access my spare tire with. So that kind of pretty much leaves, you know, here, do something like this, set down here at the bottom. Not sure how that's going to work. It's closer to the middle. And then my other option would be something like putting it down here, which I really like. It gets it under the bumper, out of the weather. I don't know whether having it on this side or the other side matters. Problem is, depending on where I put it, the bar is going to block it. So I could set it something up like that. I just don't know how much that hitch is going to block it. Of course, that doesn't mean I need to have the hitch on there at all times. So I took the hitch off, and we'll see what that looks like. I have to take a look at the video inside and see. All right, I think I've got everything installed here, so I'll take you through what the final product looks like before I button everything up and cover all the wires up. So starting up here at the engine, I've got my wires coming out here. I left some extra down in there because I had to drill a hole right here in the side of my fuse box lid for those wires. So that's what that looks like. Leave some extra so I'll be able to open the fuse box lid with no problem. And then I just tuck that in along the side here. Looks like I just pinched my ground wire a tad. Get that ground wire out of there. So then I just ran it down along the side of my battery here, tucked it in beside this nice soft cushion it's got over it. And then what I did was I went down toward the firewall. And down here in the firewall, you'll be able to see my wires. I drilled a hole right there. There is a little puck on the inside, a little fabric puck. So this is probably blocking off the firewall for some additional option that this truck doesn't have. And then since this thing has that big, I think it's a, make sure that it doesn't draw your battery down too low, that little box there. What I did was wadded up all the extra and just put it right there, double zip tied it so that it wouldn't go anywhere. So I've got extra because I couldn't get that box through that hole, obviously. And this is where I will also say it ended up not being long enough. So by the time I ran it through that hole, I had to actually go buy a USB-C to USB-C male to female extension. So, or female to male, whichever way you look at it. And then for the rear camera, I ran it down along this bundle of cables here underneath the cab, and then I just ran it along the frame. I won't go into all the ins and outs of that. I just ran it along the frame, along the bottom. Finally decided that I would mount it right there next to my hitch. It kind of keeps it out of the weather. I still got this additional red wire here. I think that's just, the original didn't come with that red wire. Everything was bundled into the four-way. I think that's just an extra ground, or it may be for the backup camera. My truck's already got a backup camera, so I don't necessarily need that. So I'll either just tie it to ground, see what happens, or I'll just cut it off and tape it off. And on the inside, I have the hole that I drilled is right up there. Kind of hard to see if I can get the camera to focus. There we go. And then I got a little extra I'll tuck up under the dash in here. And then I just ran it up inside here, beside the dash. Got them up in here along the A-pillar, tucked it in up over the headliner, and ended up coming around this side, zip tying them together, and then I have both my wires coming in here. So this is that extension I showed you in the earlier video. Remember it was white? Well, I took the time to wrap it in black tape because there's nothing white in this pickup except me. So I did not want a white wire standing out in the middle of all this black leather interior. So now we turn it on. And there's the result. We got a good clear field of view on the back camera, and we got a good field of view on the front. Again, not crazy about that inset. You can take that off there. I just kind of would like to be able to watch the rear and the front at the same time. So preferences, I'll try to figure out which way I like it better. All right, well, I'm going to get everything buttoned up. I'm going to go for a test drive, check it out, see how everything works, make sure there's no issues, no rattles, and then we'll go from there. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, leave me some comments below. If there's any other suggestions, other ways that you would have done it different, let me know. But thanks for watching. Come back for the next one.